So that reminds me, Reminder Publishing's bi-weekly podcast discussing Western Mass news. I'm Payton North.
And I'm Dennis Hackett.
And we'll be your hosts for today's episode. Dennis, what have you been up to? Anything fun this past weekend? We actually haven't even talked about your weekend. Normally we have a little Monday catch-up. I didn't come in the office on Monday. So what was going on? Anything fun?
It was a pretty quiet weekend for the most part. I was telling Peyton this the other day, but I had tried to go out on Friday night, which is a recipe for disaster because I'm always too tired. Me and a couple of my friends went to Brew Practitioners. I had one drink. It was like 8:30. I was like, I'm too tired. I'm going home, and was in bed by like 10 o'clock that night.
Yeah, we just can't hang anymore.
No, we're getting up there. And speaking of getting up there, I started playing softball. And yesterday I was played well out of position at shortstop, and I am feeling the burn today.
What do you normally like to play?
So normally I play first base, and for those who don't know, first base is either standing on the bag or standing out of the way of a batter running. So at shortstop, you're kind of dunking and diving all over the place. And for someone who hasn't played organized baseball or softball in 14 years, it was a wake-up call.
Yeah. I played softball briefly in 7th grade. I did it for the t-shirt because you get like the rec t-shirts when you're, I hated it. I cried every day before a game. It was the worst time of my life. So I'm glad you're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's going well for the most part, but you had a much more interesting last week. You went to Virginia for a work trip. Do you want to tell us all about that?
Yeah, so it was my first work trip. I mean, I've done like local things, obviously, but in editorial, you don't really often get the opportunity to go on a trip somewhere. But the Association of Community Publishers, or ACP, hosted their annual conference down in Norfolk, Virginia. And it was a lot of fun. I met a lot of people, specifically. So it was for this Rising Stars program that they have. That's the reason why I went. And so I met a bunch of other young people in the industry, some from Feature Media in Avon, New York. And then I met people from the Exchange in Spokane, Washington, and a group from California. So there were people from all over, and there was lots to learn. It definitely gave me some hope in the industry. Not that I don't have the hope already. I know we're doing great work, but it was so nice to see all of these other news media companies that are doing really well, had some awesome ideas, went to a lot of talks and sessions. And I also went out with a group of girls, and some of them around my age as well, which is 30. I know that's going to sound young to some people, but for me, as I'm going out to the bar at 1 a.m., I'm looking at the clock going, oh my God, I need to go home. I need to call this Uber right now, surrounded by a bunch of like 21-year-olds. And it was just atrocious. So it was a lot of fun. The people I met were awesome. The girls and I, a lot of the women that were in the Rising Stars program, there was really only 1 or 2 guys, so it was mostly women, and we had a lot of fun together. So I'm looking forward to seeing them again. Next year's conference is going to be in Mobile, Alabama, of all places. So it actually looked cool. They did do a teaser video, and through the Rising Stars program, they pay for you to go multiple years if you're active in their work, in their committee. So I am hoping to be able to be invited back next year, though I do not know what Mobile has in store. It looked cute, so I'm excited for that.
Nice. That should be fun. What was kind of the most interesting thing that you learned while you were there?
The most interesting thing, a lot of it was sales-based, and so it was interesting sitting in those conversations because that's obviously not typically something that I am sitting in on. A lot of the businesses really weren't as much editorial focused. We were definitely the most editorial focused product there. Like on day one, I was sitting in a meeting. There's about 30 people. We had to all go around and say, hey, I'm whoever from wherever, here's what we do, and call it a day. And I shared, we have 8 weekly newspapers, a daily newspaper, 2 monthly magazines, and then a bunch of special products. And everybody kind of looked at me with their eyes wide and were just like, how many weekly newspapers? They couldn't believe it. The man behind me said, did you just say 8? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I just have the 1, and that's a lot. And I'm like, well, we have a big great team, a lot of people who make this all happen, and we're very lucky in that respect. But I was surprised by how many were shopper publications, so mostly ads filled, and if they have content, it's like canned content from Metro or Family Features, who were also there, which was cool to put faces to the names of people who are running those publications. But so that was, I think, the most interesting thing. Not like valuable information. I did learn valuable information to take back to talk with Curtis about, but that was interesting. I was expecting more publications to be editorial based and news based, and a lot of them just really weren't. So it was interesting.
Sounds like a interesting and enlightening experience. On that note, let's kick off with the top 5 topics of the week. We're looking back again at the Ludlow Mobile Community Home. We have even further updates on Southwick racist incidents in the schools. The Valley Bike Share program is returning to the region. Holyoke recently received state funding to purchase electric school buses. And an East Longmeadow couple ran a perfect season for runDisney.
But before we get into the topics, as a little preview, I wanted to mention that in our episode in 2 weeks, we'll be doing a deep dive into the CBS 48 Hours special that just came out about Brian Fanyon. For those who may not know who Brian Fanyon is, Brian was a former Westfield police detective who in 2018 was accused of murdering his wife Amy by gunshot in their home. I don't want to give away too much because we'll talk about it in the next episode, but Brian had called 911 reporting it was a suicide. This just went to trial at the beginning of 2023. We had one of our reporters, Cliff Clark, covering the entire trial, and it really was such a doozy. After a month-long trial, the jury found Brian guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Back in the end of January, CBS came out to Western Mass and interviewed a lot of local folks, including some reporters, many state police detectives, and more. If listeners are interested in watching this special before our deep dive discussion, it can be watched on Paramount Plus, Amazon, and other streaming services. Okay, so we'll be right back, starting with our first topic after a few short messages.
Bring It Home magazine takes the best in the home renovation or home building business to your door. Featuring countless local businesses, Bring It Home helps Western Massachusetts and Connecticut homeowners, both new and seasoned, find the best of the best to suit their home's needs. The magazine is host to articles on local businesses explaining the latest trends, from outdoor necessities to indoor design. For advertising information or to view Bring It Home online, go to thereminder.com.
Are you planning your second act? Working on your bucket list? Investing for early retirement? If you've hit that point in life where time will soon be yours, let Prime Magazine be your guide. We're all about staying healthy and fit, keeping up with tech, traveling, local entertainment, managing finances, caring for your kids and elders, and much more. Pick up the latest copy of Prime Magazine every month. Prime, your best life now.
And we're back. For this week's first topic, we're going to be discussing an update on the situation with several mobile home parks owned by Thomas Lennon in Ludlow. These parks include West Street Village Mobile Home Community and Hillside Valley. For those who did not listen to the episode when we brought Sarah Hanen on to discuss the situation, Lennon went before Ludlow's Mobile Home Rent Control Board in July 2023 with a request to increase the maximum allowable rent to about $500, saying the expenses and investments in the property outweighed the rental income of $207 per month. His lawyer, Robert Krause, said at that meeting that the rent has not increased in 16 years, while Lennon said he was $210,000 in the hole on the property. The board eventually approved the increase in late 2023 before residents were informed their rent would jump to $503 per month.
In February, after the increase went into effect, residents at West Street Village met with Senator Jake Oliveira and State Rep Aaron Saunders to discuss their concerns. Both Oliveira and Saunders criticized the rent increase, with Oliveira calling the move pure greed, and Saunders said it was sickening and unconscionable greed. Residents also discussed the poor condition in the homes, with one resident saying an improperly vented roof led to a flood in her supposedly rehabbed kitchen. Other concerns included the landlord retaining a key to tenant mailboxes, a lack of insulation beneath some homes, leading to cold and moisture-related mold problems, as well as an area where people come to dump trash that has attracted rodents.
To bounce off of that, Lennon stated that some improvements he has made to the park include tree work, the installation of a fence along West Street, and paving. Tenants complain that these improvements were cosmetic and have not increased their quality of life. In the wake of these complaints and the rent increase, 3 tenants hired an attorney to file an appeal on their behalf. After the February meeting with residents, Sarah reached out to Lennon about the situation, who said he would not be commenting on the matter, while Krause did not respond by press time.
In Sarah's most recent article, some additional legal action has been taken against Lennon. Per the Attorney General's office, there are 10 open complaints against Lennon, ranging from tenant-landlord disputes to discrimination. While she received access to 7 of the complaints, 3 were withheld because they, quote, relate to an ongoing deliberative process in that they reveal legal strategies, policies, and procedures such that their disclosure would impact current and future complaint mediations, end quote, according to Hayne Rush, Assistant Attorney General in the General Counsel's office. One resident, a tenant at Hillside Valley, filed a complaint in 2021 after she refused to sign a lease she described as illegal because it called for a rent increase without going through the Rent Control Board. After refusing to sign the lease, the complaint states Lennon threatened to take our pool and dog away.
Another complaint from Kelly Shaluna said after moving into the home she bought from Lennon, she said a foul smell in the rear bedroom alerted her to a mold problem that had been painted over. She said the mold ruined all of her shoes and she cannot store anything less than 2 feet from the floor. She also said there is no subfloor under the bathroom and moisture comes up through the floor. She called the work done prior to purchasing the home, putting lipstick on a pig. She is asking for the rent to be lowered to the $399 she said she was promised when purchasing the home.
There are several more examples we could give about the complaints filed about Lennon, but we're going to stop there. Sarah did, however, reach out to Lennon, but he declined to comment for this story. I am continued to be floored by this every time we talk about it. The entire concept seems crazy to me that he not only owns the mobile homes that people are purchasing, he owns the land that they're on, and then they not only are paying him for their mortgage that he holds, but also rent on top of that for existing in the spots that they're sitting on. And this mold issue, the mold being painted over, there being no subfloor, it's disgusting. It's so deplorable. And I feel so bad for these people that they've walked into these situations, obviously needing this. They need a home to live in and they think this is a great opportunity, and then they keep getting disappointed. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is kind of sad because these are a lot of people that are in low-income housing for a reason, and I know one of the big issues has been that this rent increase is 150%. That would be ridiculous for anybody, regardless of where they're renting. Like, say you had like an $800 apartment, suddenly that's like $1,200 a month, and you just keep getting bigger and bigger as the number goes up.
And the number increasing is one thing, but increase without any sort of services being fixed, everything they've been asking about, nothing's changing. Come on, where's the money going to?
Yeah, and this clearly isn't a new issue because these complaints range back to 2021. This isn't just the rent increase. This has been something that has been ongoing with residents.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's too bad. I hope that they can come to some sort of resolution.
Yeah, it's, as always, you never know with a legal battle. It could be a tough uphill fight, but as always, we'll keep following it. They do have the support of the local legislators, so we'll see if that is able to help them kind of find a way to remedy this whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for the full article, head online to thereminder.com or check out the most recent print edition of the Ludlow Munson Reminder.
Moving on to our next topic, it's one we've had an update on in almost every episode lately, which is disheartening. It's the racist incidents continuing in Southwick schools. A quick recap for listeners who may be tuning in for the first time. There have been a history of racist incidents taking place in the Southwick schools dating back to November of 2023, according to parent of a student, Allison Lopez, when a student used the N-word to refer to Lopez's daughter. This then happened again later in December. A third N-word incident took place following that, and when it was reported to the district, Lopez, she felt the district's response to the incidents was anemic, weak, and ineffective.
The district developed a safety plan for Lopez's daughter, which Lopez alleges singled her daughter out by treating her differently from other students, had her entering school through a different door each day, and only further alienated, isolated, and marked her. Then in February, at least 6 students using the app Snapchat conducted a mock slave auction, bidding on Lopez's daughter and another black student. 6 of the students involved in the auction were charged by Hampden County District Attorney Anthony Gallooni.
Bringing us up to today, Lopez filed a federal civil rights complaint against the school district. She said she believes district administrators have not done enough to address the racial bullying of her daughter and is asking the U.S. Department of Education Civil Rights Office to investigate the Southwick, Tolland, Granville Regional School District and order it to take several immediate steps to address the allegations. What's worse is 2 days after Lopez filed her complaint, the district revealed to parents that another incident had occurred. Superintendent Jennifer Willard sent an email to parents writing that, quote, graffiti including discriminatory language, quote, was found on May 1st in a bathroom used by 8th grade students at SRS. Willard wrote the school closed the bathroom and began an investigation and informed the local police. When asked for comment by our reporter, Willard told him that the matter was investigated and addressed.
I don't even know where to begin with this update. Seeing the safety plan for the one student is infuriating.
It's
like
disgusting. How is that keeping her safe? How is separating her, segregating her from everyone, keeping her safe? Where in time did we just go?
It's ridiculous. Like, I understand that maybe the administration thinks this is the best way to do this, but you've got to address the issue with the school again. If these incidents keep happening and there's still graffiti in the bathroom walls, like, by singling her out, it's basically putting a target on her back, like her mother said. It's abhorrent, I feel like.
Absolutely. And it's clear, I mean, if the punishment matches the crime, in theory, the crime is not supposed to continue to be committed. You know, that doesn't really go so well in our everyday life either, but it's so disgusting that these students are clearly seeing some kids getting away with this or not having that much of a punishment, or the punishment is extremely delayed. I mean, it was back in February when these kids did the slave auction, and it took well over a month for anything to really happen to them. So it's just disgusting. I can't help but feel that it's perpetuating. The fact that it's still continuing is just...
You might even argue that it's getting worse, and people are using this as a leaping off point, because this isn't the first time that we've heard a report that racist graffiti was found in a bathroom since the charges were brought to the students and the punishment was doled out. So, Southwick, you really got to do something here. This is not... And singling out the one person that has been the victim in this is...
Yeah.
I can't even bring up the words.
Yeah, it's just... There are so many words, but just disappointing and disgusting is just all I can say. And I would love for us to not have to talk about this again, because it stopped. And they came up with a plan, and they took Lopez's comments and this seriously. But the way this has been handled and the way the students seem to continue, I don't have high hopes. And it's just sad. And I hope that Lopez's daughter is coping okay. Honestly, at the end of the day, I hope she's just doing okay. I don't know how she's continuing to go to school and function with all of this.
I can't even imagine the stress to be under when you've dealt with multiple people saying awful things to you, and then now you're being singled out. And I really hope that, like her mother filed the report to the Department of Education Civil Rights Office, I really hope some action is taken and they're able to help resolve the situation, because nobody should have to deal with this.
No, absolutely not. I hope that she has a strong support system of friends around her, people to help lift her up, because she needs that more than ever right now.
Absolutely.
So for the full article, head to thereminder.com or pick up the May 9th edition of the original Penny Saver.
For our next topic today, we're going to be discussing the reintroduction of the Valley Bike Share program later this month. The program initially opened in 2018, providing electric bikes in Amherst, Chicopee, East Hampton, Holyoke, Northampton, South Hadley, Springfield, West Springfield, and UMass Amherst. Northampton, which serves as the lead community for the bike share program, announced on May 25, 2023 that the program would be coming to a halt after Buogen Inc., the former main service provider for the program, was initiating bankruptcy proceeding in its home country of Canada in hopes of dissolving its existing contracts, with the hope of reopening that summer, which did not happen. While Northampton attempted to negotiate a short-term contract last year, those talks fell through, leading to a bid process for a new provider, which at the time Northampton Planning and Sustainability Director Carolyn Misch said would take until at least this past spring.
Fast forwarding to today, the program is set to return with Drop Mobility serving as the new vendor for the program and is set to reopen later this month. According to a release from the City of Northampton, Drop Mobility was selected as the new vendor for their deep understanding of micromobility as an important component of the region's transportation system and for their experience in rescuing and operating e-assist bike shares across the country. According to Drop Mobility's website, it supports municipal organizations like transit agencies, nonprofit bike share operators, urban planners, campus administrators, mobility enthusiasts, and other community stakeholders who want to bring sustainable micromobility to constituents.
Northampton Mayor Gina Louise Chara said the city was ecstatic that we have found a vendor that shares our commitment to making bike share a successful transportation mode, which will further our sustainability goals to encourage options for people to travel and commute. Across the communities in the program, there are 750 e-assist bicycles and 79 station locations with dock and charge points throughout the communities.
As part of the request for proposals issued by Northampton, the new vendor will maintain, develop, and enhance Valley Bike by using these existing assets. Stephanie Ciccarello, Sustainability Coordinator for Amherst, said the new vendor has a new business model that she thinks will lead to much more success.
Yeah, so I thought this was a fun story. For those who don't know, Ryan Fair, he reported on this. He's been following this story since the bike share shut down last year, and he's really just had an update at every single point. But really, I think this is a good thing to see come back. I'm not necessarily a biker, but to see it come into in all of the large communities in our area to get some more bikeability going, I think is a really good thing.
Yeah, 100%. When I was down in Virginia last week, they had a similar program but with scooters, and they were everywhere, all over the place. Same thing when I went to Arizona. A lot of places are doing similar things. Honestly, the scooters kind of freak me out a little bit. I hear a lot of people getting injured on them, and there was a woman who was in our program who she scraped up her leg because she didn't know what she was doing. I don't know if she did it after a night out, but she was a little bit injured. I would personally be more inclined to hop on a bike than I would a scooter, depending on my footwear in the moment. But I'm definitely more confident in my biking abilities than figuring out some sort of scooter like that has a little...
So now, is that like one of those like electric scooters? Like like a big Razor scooter type of electric scooter, or basically, one with like a... Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was an electric scooter, and they're everywhere on every corner. And you find them just like in the most random places. I walked for coffee on the last day there down this little boardwalk area, and there's just a lone scooter sitting off to the side that someone just left and deserted there. But people pick them up, they hop on them. Scott Green, I think, has a video. He was in charge of taking a bunch of these ladies from a company called January Springs. They wanted to all take their hand after going out at hopping on the scooters, and I said, well, I'm going to leave because I am nervous for what's about to happen for these poor women who are just trying to have fun. But again, I think the bikes are a little bit more of a safer option.
Yeah, based on what you said,
I would enjoy rather than the scooters.
Yeah, I think I would be more inclined to hop on a bike than a scooter as well.
Though again, the footwear thing, I saw a couple women who were riding those scooters around in heels, and I was like, oh, you know what? Good for you.
That's a choice.
They also looked like they knew what they were doing. They were probably locals and did it all the time, not people just coming in and giving it a go. But yeah, so it's definitely a great opportunity, and if I felt confident in my abilities, I would have used one of those rather than getting an Uber around, but I was too nervous.
Yeah, good to see this return. I'm sure people will get plenty of use out of it. I know before it shut down in 2023, that was its biggest year to date for trips and everything, so it'll be good to see it come back, and I hope people really stick to it this time. And for more information, head online to thereminder.com or check out one of our print editions as it published in many of the papers that include those communities. And we'll be right back to discuss our final topics after a few short messages.
Every month, Reminder Publishing's Go Local magazine features the best Western Mass and Northern Connecticut businesses, with articles on new storefronts, coffee shops, restaurants, and more. Go Local magazine is your resource to find the best businesses to frequent in the area. Go Local also features original recipes, how-to pages on festive crafts, a listing of places to go, and experiences to enjoy over the course of the month, and so much more. Pick up Go Local magazine at hundreds of businesses, banks, gas stations, and restaurants all over Western Mass and Northern Connecticut, or check out Go Local magazine at thereminder.com.
Since the founding of Reminder Publishing over 60 years ago, the Reminder has brought local businesses together with their customers through our advertising and coverage. Over the past 4 years, the Reminder has been adding to its reporting and expanding our readership, while other newspapers in the region, state, and country have scaled back or closed. We want local community journalism to thrive and grow, and are asking our readers and listeners to support and participate. The Reminder Press Club's mission is to ensure that local journalism is sustainable and leading healthy community discussions. The Reminder Press Club is a way for you to support the crucial work of professional reporters covering the vital stories in our community. Learn more about the Reminder Press Club or join at reminderpressclub.com.
And we're back. This is super interesting. The city of Holyoke has received state funding to purchase electric school buses. The announcement came from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, or MassCEC, which awarded more than $4.2 million to help electrify school buses in 5 school districts, with the other districts being in Boston, Fall River, New Bedford, and Worcester. Holyoke was awarded $850,000 to fund the purchase of the buses.
MassCEC is a state economic development agency dedicated to accelerating the growth of the clean energy and climate tech sector across the state to spur job creation, deliver statewide environmental benefits, and secure long-term economic opportunities for the people of Massachusetts.
MassCEC's ACT School Bus Fleet Deployment Program is intended to provide fleets with hands-on technical assistance and funding during initial planning and procurement that will enable school districts to continue to electrify future portions of their fleet autonomously or with scaled-back assistance. So this wasn't a very long article, but it was interesting because it's the first of my knowledge, at least in our area, that a district is getting into electric school buses. I do wonder about the added costs, though, after this program, gave the initial $850,000. How much, first of all, how many buses does that buy? I imagine not many. My mom is actually a school bus driver, and I feel like a couple years ago, the town had bought a couple new school buses, and I want to say they were in the $250,000 range at the time, somewhere around there. I don't know what the cost of an electric school bus is. I imagine it's up there as well. How much does the average bus cost? And then districts are obviously going to have to buy the chargers, which will have to be on a large scale. That's got to be pretty expensive. And I wonder what the return on investment is. So how much are they spending on cost of gas versus how much they'll be spending on electric? And taking in mind the cost that they've got to spend up front. Of course, this is all for the central purpose of emissions and going electric, and that's all wonderful, but I do wonder how realistic this is for districts to do across the board with all of their buses.
Yeah, I know not necessarily for school districts, but a lot of police departments, you'll see that they've had some appropriations to get electric police cruisers. I might be wrong on this, but I believe East Hampton has a couple of Teslas owned by the city that are specifically electric and everything like that. So it's interesting to see how much this is going to really expand. I feel like with the police cruisers, those haven't really expanded as much as people might expect at this point. But it'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see where they go with the school buses, because obviously a lot of communities are trying to focus on the environmental kind of benefits of using electric as opposed to gas. But we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, you're correct. I did just double check, and they had ordered a couple of Tesla Model Ys ordered for the East Hampton police back in 2022. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how those are doing compared to their other cruisers. But one thing that I did want to point out is that it was nice to see that Western Massachusetts City was one of the ones getting the funding for this. I feel like in a lot of cases, these programs tend to go more towards the eastern Massachusetts communities, but you see Holyoke is right there with Worcester and Boston, so
Yeah.
definitely a good thing to see.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to see how this goes in a year from now, where they're going to be. Are they going to want to expand on this and get more electric buses? Will it be worth it? Will it be affordable? I don't know. So I'm curious to see where this goes.
And who knows what the kind of lead-in time they'll have for getting these. Because
Right.
how many places are
Oh my gosh, yeah.
creating electric school buses?
Right. I mean, you see just with like even police cruisers or
Mm-hmm.
fire department trucks or ambulances, the lead time to get one is like 6, 8 months, 9 months, sometimes even a year.
Yeah,
before
even
they
more
get
than that.
them.
I
Yeah.
remember when there was the part shortage issue during COVID with everything, it was like a year and a half before
Yeah,
somebody would
yeah.
get a new ambulance or a cruiser or
Yeah,
something.
I think it's a little bit better now, but yeah, it's just atrocious. So I imagine the electric buses is right up there in lead
Yep.
time. So yeah, maybe we won't even have one in a year.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's not the case, but gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. For more information, you can check out the article on thereminder.com or in this week's edition of the Holyoke Reminder or the Chicopee Herald. For our final topic this week, an East Longmeadow couple completed a perfect season of runDisney races. runDisney is a series of races that takes runners throughout the Disney World parks and along the highways in between. These races take place roughly every 7 weeks from November through April, the first of which is the Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend.
Allison and Penny Tellier-Fox have both been running for nearly a decade, with Allison running for about 10 years and Penny beginning when they met 7 years ago. Initially, their plan was to run just the Wine and Dine weekend, but then Allison wanted to run the marathon through all 4 parks during the January Walt Disney World Marathon. With that race completed, the couple then discovered the medal for the Springtime Surprise would have Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, Penny's favorite Disney character, on it, so they knew they had to come back for the spring race.
The couple also discussed their preparation for the race, with Allison saying that she has completed 3 marathons, including the January runDisney one. To prepare for these races, Allison said they ran for about 450 miles. Penny added that the couple wakes up at 2 a.m. on race days. The duo said the running has always had a physical toll, including an Achilles injury for Penny and Allison breaking her foot during but finishing the marathon in January. Each race also costs between $108 and $240.
While there is a physical toll for participating in the races, the couple said they still love doing it. Allison said that it is a massive mental health benefit, and running is a form of therapy for her. Penny said that the races are a good way to relieve stress and to spend quality time together. She also said that the runDisney community comes together and supports each other at the races. Penny said that when she's struggling in a race, the other runners help her through.
With this year's perfect season in the books, the couple is not planning on another perfect season anytime soon. Penny said that she's going to be resting her Achilles and that it is difficult to take time off as a teacher. Allison, in the meantime, has already entered a local race in August.
For any listeners feeling inspired and wanting to attempt the perfect season, tickets have already been sold out. Each race sees around 12,000 participants, and the tickets flew fast with the races still months away. A new addition this year will be the Halloween Half Marathon at Disneyland in September, which is also already sold out. runDisney does offer virtual series over the summer and winter, dubbed the 12Ks of Christmas. Oh my God, I wish I loved running this much. I wish. Absolutely not.
I saw that 450 miles. I was like, no.
She still ran with a broken foot. She finished the run.
Yeah.
You know,
That's like a different level of guts.
Chris Mazza emailed a bunch of the women in the office yesterday. His wife is one of the people who runs Girls on the Run in Springfield at Talmadge. He was asking if any of the women in the office were available tomorrow afternoon to help run as a volunteer with the kids. And I replied, and I was like, yes, but also, how fast are they? Are there any walkers? Can I be put in the back? Like, I went through a running phase, and it was a lot of fun, and I really liked it. That was several years ago, and I want to get back. but I just can't. The passion that runners have, I think it's amazing. Where does it come from? How do you love it that much?
I couldn't tell you. I am not a runner. In high school, when I would work out, I would just do weights. I get that cardio out of here. Mm-hmm. Obviously now, as you get older, you need to do cardio. So I do like an elliptical or like a electric bike in my basement that we have, or I'll go for a walk or something. But I am not a runner. Yeah,
I love doing the spin classes. That's enjoyable for me, but it's also distracting because you're like moving or doing things. There's loud music. There's a bunch of people around you and an instructor yelling at you to do things. So that's good cardio for me. But the running, I think I don't know, my brain, I can't focus enough.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
But I just can't focus enough. Now, I know you really want to talk about, Dennis, the fact that these aren't just runs, they're Disney runs. So I will let you have your Disney slander moment if you would like.
Yeah, I was laughing when I was reading the article because Penny was quoted as saying that only one of their 5 children has gone to Disney with them, saying that you either really love Disney or you don't, and I definitely fall into that I don't category. I feel like Disney's kind of been a topic lately because I'm not sure if any of the listeners have listened to Chris Maz's podcast, but there's been a lot of Disney stuff going on there. And he's definitely a big Disney person, but I'm always the opposite. And I just find it funny. Like, I have good memories of Disney when I was a kid and like some of the movies I saw then, but since then I kind of am a little bit of a Disney hater because I feel like there's a lot of times where they push out a lot of quantity over quality type of content these days. Especially, I feel like they kind of really butchered things with the MCU and stuff like that over the past couple of years. But
yeah, I mean, if you want to get into the content of Disney, yeah, I feel like the content of Disney and Disney World / Land are two different things. I know they're the same, but I feel like they're two different things. When's the last time you ever went to Disney World? Or Land?
10 or 12 years ago at this point. But it was funny because I was talking to my friend Dylan about going on a trip maybe to Cedar Point, which is a big amusement park. I forget exactly where it is, but I was like, I would way rather do this than go to Disney.
I just feel like you don't know until you've gone. And like, I know I'm the wrong person for this conversation because I do really enjoy Disney. I'm not a characters person. God, sorry to the people who are characters people, but you will never catch me standing in line to meet like Winnie the Pooh. I'm sorry. Like, I just absolutely not. That is a step too far for me. Yeah. That is the Disney adult. But I do really enjoy the environment, the immersiveness, like Hollywood Studios, Star Wars. If you like Star Wars, you need to go. It is unreal. I don't like Star Wars. Not that I don't like it, but I haven't watched it. I haven't sat down to watch Star Wars or anything of the sort. But it is so immersive and it's just such a cool experience. The rides are amazing. You feel like you're driving the Millennium Falcon. I was going to say the machine. I don't know what it is. No. It's the Millennium Falcon. I'm sorry. But it's just Blasphemy. So cool. And like, it's the same with Epcot. I love the experience there. You go around all the countries. You experience all these different rides or drinks or whatever. I think there's a lot to be said for Disney in that lens. I've gone back so many times in the last few years just having fun with friends and enjoying the trips. But I do agree that it's like, you can get a step too far there. Yeah. That's just not for me. I'm not like obsessed. I just enjoy going and having fun. But running around Disney, I mean, you do enough steps when you're on your trip. You're like at 30,000 steps in one day, just going around from one end to another end of the park. You couldn't catch me doing it. No. I love it for people. You couldn't catch me doing it. I think it's amazing that these people are such runners. I hope that their injuries recover. Yeah. But, gosh, that's just a lot.
That is a lot of running to do.
Mm-hmm. Any other Disney comments you need to make?
I mean, no, I just got my grievances out there that I don't like it.
Yeah, again, I feel like it's just one of those things that it's like when someone says, well, I don't like mushrooms. Have you tried mushrooms? Well, no. Then how do you know?
All right, well, I think that's enough of me hating on Disney. So for the full article, head to thereminder.com or pick up this week's East Longmeadow Reminder.
And that wraps up this edition of So That Reminds Me.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks with another episode.
Thanks for listening to So That Reminds Me, produced by Western Massachusetts news source Reminder Publishing. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, find the latest news at thereminder.com, and follow Reminder Publishing on Instagram at Reminder Publishing, on X at The Reminder MA, and on Facebook. Reminder Publishing, we are hometown news.